One Percenter Podcast with Sam Bakhtiar, bringing you the 1% knowledge to help you reach your full potential. Learn what it takes to rise above the 99% and become a one percenter.
Welcome to the One Percenter Podcast. This is Sam Bakhtiar, your host, and I got my very good friend Ted McGrath in the house. What's happening?
Oh, good to see you, man.
Thank you for coming.
I'm admiring the cars. Is what happened.
Oh, we're both car fans. I like your new G-Wagon.
It's cool.
When I came to your house a few months ago, and when I saw that brand new G-Wagon, I fell in love with it. I was actually kind of stalking you, man. I went inside. I was looking at the G-Wagon.
It's striped like your car, like your chairs here, bro.
Yeah, totally. We have good taste, man.
Yeah.
So really quick, man. So you have a brand called Message to Millions.
Yeah.
You know, you have a brand called Good Enough.
Yeah.
You know, that's for acting. Brand. But you've been a serial entrepreneur since you were like 20 years old, right?
Yeah, 21.
You know, 21 years old, and you have a history, you know, of just going out there and crushing it, but then self-destructing.
That's
you
right.
Know what I mean? You know, I want to talk about that first, man. I want to self-destruct because I mean, we all are happy because you know, we got entrepreneurs here that are killing it. Yeah. But we love the stories, man. We love the stories because I want people to know that what not to do. Yeah. You know, a lot of times we get inspired by all the things that you people have done. Yeah. But then we also want to learn from the fuck ups. Yeah. Right. Totally. So tell me, you know, how did you start on entrepreneurship and what happened?
Yeah. So I mean, I started in the insurance business, but it was by default. My dad was an entrepreneur, and I wanted to go into business with him, but his business went bottom up. So out of default, the kind of funny story of it is like I'm also a creative person because I'm an actor as well as an entrepreneur. And so at 21, I thought when I was going to interview with New York Life Insurance, I thought I was going to interview with a magazine. So I got off the elevator and I walk in and I'm like, New York Life, and I'm expecting a magazine and I see insurance. I'm like, oh, this is an insurance company, right? So I sat down with the guy there who's still my best friend today, 20 years later, and he just painted a vision of what it looked like to, you know, be an entrepreneur and, you know, make the money in the insurance business. So my first year at 21, I came out, I did 6 figures.
And was this like, what kind of insurance were you selling? Life insurance. Life insurance.
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah, it was dressed up like, you know, wealth strategies and things like that, which when you have money, it is wealth strategies, but, you know, when you're younger, you don't. So we started selling the life insurance and, you know, I cracked 6 figures and then, you know, I thought money was going to make me feel satisfied and happy. And then sure enough, 12 months later, I OD from drugs and alcohol, and I almost died.
Okay, so you get in the insurance business at the age of 21. Yeah. You start there. Yeah. In a year, you do you're doing 6 figures, over 100 grand, right? Yeah. And in that span of a year, you started doing drugs. And why were you? What? Tell me how that came about. How did drugs? I'm looking at like a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people who are go-getters. I know Grant at a point, he was doing drugs. You look at Wolf of Wall Street, you know, they were doing drugs. And I've talked to so many entrepreneurs who are like type A personality, go-getters. You know, is the drug part a way to have an advantage to be able to keep going, or is the drug part so like, you know what, I just want to beg and decompose, and I just want to not think about work. What was the attraction?
It's a good question, man. The drug part was the escape.
The escape.
Because, like, here's the thing. Like, if you're on purpose in life and doing something you love, then
for me, you don't need drugs. You get your high from doing what you're doing, right?
Yeah. And then also, like, you know, for me, like, I was a creative as a young kid. Like, I used to watch Eddie Murphy, like, do his one-person play. You know, I have a one-person play today. But at, like, 6, 7 years old, I'm watching Eddie Murphy do his play. And I would do these imitations, and then somewhere I went down a path where, you know, I played athletics, which was a great release, but I went down a path where there was no creative outlet anymore. And so then I thought entrepreneurship is the deal, but I was selling life insurance, so I wasn't passionate about it.
Yeah, you didn't get into life insurance because you were passionate about life insurance. You got into life insurance because there was money into it, and you were willing to put in the work to make the money.
Yeah, and then I used the money to go out on the weekends and like party, and I figured that partying would be like, that was like feeling alive, but it did the reverse. The next 5 days of the week, I felt dead. You know, so that's why I did the drugs. You know, I didn't have a better plan, and when I found my creative outlet clearly with my play and my acting, like that fulfills me on a different level that even business can't. You know,
I think in life the most important thing is fulfillment. Yeah. You know what I mean? No amount of money can fix that.
I agree.
You know, no amount of success can fill that.
Yeah.
You know, fix that. If you're not fulfilled in your heart, and you're not happy in your heart, man, it's kind of hard to go. And then you're gonna look at other outlets for you to try to feel fulfilled.
Absolutely.
You know, so you OD. What happened? Tell me about the night that you OD.
I was out. We were at a club. I remember it vividly. So we were at a club. We went to this after hours club, right? You know, where nobody drinks water.
Is this LA?
No, this is in Orlando.
Orlando, okay.
Yeah, so after hours club, you know, you go and they stop serving booze and you're there and everybody's drinking the water and
I hate to say I've been there, bro.
right. So we're already on the
light shows.
yeah, the light shows. We're on the ecstasy and basically, you know, I actually got a bad pill, but I was drinking a lot. I was doing cocaine, but somebody gave a pill, so we're floating around Orlando. And that night, I remember like being up there. You know, the experience I think we all want in life is to feel that I'm on top of the world. Well, I was feeling that. Next thing you know, I'm from the top of the world to the bottom of the world on the kitchen floor, and I was leaving my body. So when I got home, I got out of the shower, and when I came out of the shower, I knew something was off. So I went into the kitchen and I fell down on the floor. And my brother came in, and as I'm on the floor, like literally, like you know, I believe. You know, we're spiritual beings, not just a body. And I experienced it that night where I was coming out of my body and I was holding onto my body. So I had the physical sensation of like leaving as the spirit leaves. And as I was leaving, I'm holding on for dear life. And you could feel the pressure of the banging against the body trying to hold on. And I held on all night. And it was the weirdest thing.
Did you do that rush to the hospital or
Well, here's the thing. It's funny because my brother and I were sitting, my brother's feeding me Gatorade and stuff. And it's one of these things like where you're like, even though you're like dying or you think you might be dying and you are, it's like, well, the shame of going to the hospital, like would you get in trouble? And let's just wait it out and what our parents think. So dude, we just waited it out, bro. And the next morning, like, you know, at some point I passed out and my brother passed and I woke up, I'm like, I'm still alive. Wow. That was the night.
So was that a turning point for you?
It was from the perspective of I was afraid to die. You know, that's number one. Number two, shortly after that, because I had so much success my first year, they wanted to make me like the poster child, so they put me in management. Okay. And so at a young age, I got into management and then became a partner with the company. And so I was leading people, and I also knew now when you're a partner, is you're like working. You're not necessarily, you don't have the ultimate freedom. You're working for the company. Yeah. Our compensation is based on our performance, but you're still representing the company. So I was afraid to lose my job, you know? So I stopped doing drugs for death and losing my job, which is kind of fucked up because it's like, you know, you're worried about loss rather than gain, you know?
Well, you know, I think we're all, you know, human beings are geared more towards loss and gain, you know, as far as that's concerned. I think when you get older, that's when it becomes more pronounced because you just do not want to have any losses. You know, your risk tolerance just decreases as you get older.
Totally, I would agree with that. As you start to amass more wealth, yeah. So that's what happened, and then, you know, from there on, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make partner because I figured like at some point the money wasn't really working, but status and maybe recognition would do it. So I put my head down and worked really hard. I still drank on the weekends, but despite how drunk I was, it was amazing. I never touched drugs. And so by the time I was 28, I became one of the top partners in the company.
And then so you become a top partner in the company, you achieve your goal, you put your, you know, it seems like you put your pedals on the metal for 6 or 7 years. Yeah. You know, so you got to where you wanted to go, then what? Were you fulfilled then?
No, because like, you know, I had that question, is this all there is? And the truth of the matter is like, my success felt phony, you know? Like even 7 years in business, how much do you feel like you know that you know? And so I still didn't feel like I felt like a driven person, but not a confident person, you know?
You don't feel accomplished.
Yeah, I didn't feel accomplished, right? So the paper looked good, the money looked good, the cars looked good, but I didn't feel accomplished. And so then I left and I was like, well, I gotta be a free entrepreneur by myself, like, you know? So I moved out to California.
Yeah. What year was that?
It was end of 2006, 2007.
Okay, so you came to California in 2006, 2007, and you started your own business, your own thing. And what was that? What was the first thing you started?
Well, interesting enough, my mentor, who was with me in New York Life, we both left, and we started up a business. And what happened was, one of the businesses was an outsourcing like technology company, which we started up, and I had no interest in that. Like that wasn't my passion. And then we started up another one that like promoted thought leaders, you know, like people like us, right? But which was interesting to me. But then my mentor was like, well, let's niche it out to insurance people and mortgage people. And I was like, I don't have an interest in that, you know? So at that point I was like, well, this isn't really going in the direction that I want. The outsourcing company I just left, right? And that company was making money, but like we weren't making money off it. There were like 4 of us involved, and so we were feeding the company. So I just let him have it, not my mentor, but the other 2 people who were in India running the office. So I was like, I'm out of here, you know? So I left, and that's when I started my speaking career in like 2009 or something like that, you know? And I launched
That's where Message to Millions?
That's where Message to Millions got born.
2009?
Yeah, 2009.
So tell me about Message to Millions. I know that you help a lot of people, you know, speak better on stage, you know, fill out events, and, you know, kind of just get their message out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Can you talk more about that? How'd you get into that? And why is that so fulfilling for you?
Yeah, you know, here's the interesting thing. I think speaking is, for me, was the path to becoming an actor and a performer. So I lost my interest for speaking when I started doing my one-person play, which now I'm up on stage, and I play 20 characters on the stage. So when I'm up there through the course of 70 minutes, I'm telling my story but playing 20 different characters. So speaking was fulfilling because there was an expression there. And then I was able to control in terms of like my ability, you can control an audience, not from like mind controller stuff, but the ability to influence people with your words and inspire people. And people are just like, whoa, you know, and you're in control of like your future, and you're in control of helping people shape their destiny. So that was really interesting to me. And I was able to do well selling from the stage. You know, at one point I was selling $200,000 programs from the stage, you know? I was really well known for selling $100,000 programs. Like some of my peers in my industry would like travel to come to my events just to see how I did it. And it was cool and it was fun. And I'm a really good, like the high-end sale, I'm really, really good at it. And to me, the reason I like it though, it's a performance, you know? It's a show, you know? So to me, that was probably the biggest challenge, was like speaking. To get up there and speak for 4 days was not hard for me, still is not hard. But the thing was, when you have to work your way up to like you're going to get a result, you're going to see how many people really like what you do, and you can measure it. That was exciting. And so right around the time where my speaking career started to take off is when I wrote the play 6 years ago. And 6 years ago, I wrote the play in London as my speaking career was starting to take off.
Now, as far as selling on stage, because I know, we have a lot of entrepreneurs that watch this podcast. What are some of the key things people should do if they want to speak on stage, and more importantly, sell from stage? What makes somebody good, and what makes somebody mediocre?
Yeah, good question. I mean, my last event, so we'll have an event, like a higher end event for like $9,000 every 3 or 4 months, right? So last event we had like 60 some odd people there, right? And when I do that, because they already paid a high ticket, we then sell to a 50K program, right? So with that, my last event, I had 60% of the room stand up to say, we basically had them stand up to take an envelope to say they're interested, right? So in doing that, and then I think the numbers of people who were eligible, we had over 40% of the room take us up on the offer, right? Which is really big to have 40%. It's huge, right? So with that, and a portion of those people, that 66, were already in our program, but there were, 80% of the room was not yet in our 50K program. So I made the pitch, and what makes it successful is a couple things, like three main things I would say. One is storytelling, right? So even though I do a play, like people would come and I take my whole audience to the theater. So the 2 nights before, they're coming to watch my story, right? Now, you don't have to do a play like I do and take people to the theater to tell a story, but I built up a rapport with them where they know me, and they've also seen me risk. So they're looking at a guy here who's a well-known speaker who doesn't have to do a play, but they're watching me risk and get up in front of them and be vulnerable. So I think part of like selling from the stage and being successful is you have to be vulnerable, right? And they have to see that you're...
Being vulnerable is basically makes you relatable.
Yeah.
You're not stepping on stage, I'm better than you, I'm just like you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And my play bears all. I mean, it talks about everything in my life. So there's like, by the end, they're like, I know this guy, right? But when it comes to the sell, right? They know my main story. You still have to have other stories to tell. Like I have a story that I tell about like getting in the business and, you know, a money story, which is funny. You know, how I invested like $15,000 in books with this one woman and got 500 of her books, and it was a total disaster. Whole long story, but I ended up turning that into an opportunity where I got on her stage and got in front of 300 people and then made 3 times my money back, right? So those types of stories where somebody can see that you made mistakes or that it didn't work out, but you turned a loss into an opportunity. And so my pitch basically goes, I'll educate on the most important stuff, which is marketing, because everybody wants to know that. So for an hour, it's on marketing. I'll take a break, right? So I take a break that morning. So it's not the first day, which is half a day. It's not the second day. We do a 2.5-day event, and it's the morning of the 3rd day. So they come in fresh, an hour of content. We take a break because if you're teaching marketing or something that's linear, they need a little bit of a break. Then we call up the success panel, and then we have a success panel. So that's the second thing that's important. Story first, then success panel next.
Testimonials.
Yeah. So when you're selling, the worst thing is to be up there and feel like you're doing it yourself.
Yes.
But when you have your community who's supporting you, yeah, they're selling for you. So we had our community up, and we have like 5 people on the panel, and so you know, we're back from the break, and what I do is I tell a story for about 25 minutes to get everybody like really like in the zone. Then I have the success panel go, and then I make the call to action. And normally the successful action to sell from the stage is multiple calls to action. My last event, I've never had this happen before, but my last event, I was so good, okay, that when I made the call to action, I was literally like, I normally call like, hey, whoever wants this envelope, stand up and grab it. And so my intention was so strong that the room just popped. Like people just stood up at once. And normally it's like I have to go, okay, multiple calls to action. And I made one more call to action after that, and like maybe 1 or 2 more people popped, but I've never had that where in the first call, everybody who's gonna buy it pops up.
You video that, right? You have to go back and see exactly what you did.
I wish we did, bro.
You did video it?
We videoed other parts of the event, but not that.
Oh, man.
But I know what it was. I came in with an energy that was just like, you know, it was just very just like pure intention, boom. The energy was at a heightened part in the room and got everybody to pop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you now actually are showing that to people, showing your formula of how to speak on stage and sell from the stage.
Yeah.
You also have, you know, a course, I believe, on video, on doing videos.
Yeah, we do. So that's part of the message to millions.
Because I see it popping up on my feed all the time.
Yeah.
And it looks so cool.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that? Is it just basically what you do on stage? Now you do it on video?
Yeah, so like message to the superstar speaker is like the speaking brand. So we have a funnel for that. So when people come in, it's all about like filling live events and booking stages. So we bring them in, and that brings the speakers in. And then the funnel for message to millions is we bring them in and go, hey, if you want to create presentations online, like videos or webinars, you should check this out. And then I educate people a little bit and be like, hey, so, you know, there's different types of videos. There's content, you know, there's ads, you know, and then there's sales videos, you know, and so we educate them on videos. And, you know, if you're going to go online, like message to millions really is, if you're not creating video content today, it's hard to scale a business, you know? So that's what we do.
Now let's talk about your acting, your play, and your other brand.
Yeah. So I created Good Enough because that's the brand represents that I didn't feel good enough, you know, which is why I ended up in all these positions, right? So Good Enough is really about getting somebody back to the place of, you know, who am I and what is my dream, you know? And getting somebody back to that place of what am I really meant to do here? And so, but it's not like one of these brands where it's like foo-foo or anything like that. It's like you're gonna build confidence by going to do stuff in your life. You're gonna execute your dreams by going to do stuff in life. So while people who come into Message to Millions are ready to get out there, get their message, and they know what they wanna do, people who come into Good Enough are like, I have a dream, but what do I need to do to grow the dream? So it's the basics of like, I need relationships. What is my unique gift? Like, you know, how am I gonna fund my dreams? Like, what is my core purpose on this planet? You know, how do I transition from my job?
The basics are the best.
Basics are the best.
Because if you don't have the proper basics and try to jump right to Message to Millions, You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to do it. You need to get your basic fundamentals of what you stand for, how to set everything up correctly before you. I think in everything, man, if you don't have the basics down, man, you're going to mess up.
It's so true, man. Like anytime in our business when something is out, it's never a complex problem. We look at the marketing and we're like, the basics are out again, So we have to create these formulas so the team has a checklist of here's the basics, because people just gravitate away from the basics.
Because basics are not sexy.
No, they're not.
Basics are not sexy, but they are crucial, to your success. So moving forward right now, what are some of the projects that you're excited about? Because I stopped, at your house, beautiful home, man. Thanks, man. In the house, and when we came to your house, man, you were cranking, man. You had video people all over the place, and you were, it was like a production. You know what I mean? So what are you working on? What are you so excited about?
I'm excited about the movie and the play. So Good Enough is a brand that helps people, and this is the unique thing about it. But it's also, we have the play that I wrote 6 years ago that I did a 6-week run here in Hollywood. We invited directors that came to it. Certain directors that one of the guys who was there, he directed My Big Fat Greek Wedding, which was like one of the, I think, the largest grossing independent comedy films. He loved it. He also directs one-person plays. So he's been helping us with the movie process. I'm meeting with the guys who wrote my play. I'm meeting with a director today named Malcolm Goodwin, who's done stuff for iZombie and directed that. And so I'm meeting with him today, and then they may direct the movie now. So we're now taking the play turn into a movie, but there's two aspects to it. So like my director, who's for my play, he's taking me down the path to where we're going to tour the play now. So the goal is off Broadway with the play. So right now we've got the final script together. He's now sending it out to his relationships, and we're going to see. We want to get investors for the play so we can go off Broadway. The next thing is the movie, which we've been doing concurrent to the play. And so the script is done, and now we're meeting with different directors, and I'm meeting now with studios. Like one of my friends this week is starting to set up the relationships with studios to where I can go in because I'm pitching an idea that I'm not sharing yet with the public, but it's an idea that we're transform the way movies are experienced. And it's integrating my skill sets in my business with the entertainment world. And so it's a new platform that we're developing. So the people I've talked to think it's so hot that they're like, well, you need to get in front of the studios and pitch this. So I have avenues where I have directors now that I'm talking to, I have studios that I'm pitching to, and now we're just deciding on who is going to be the best person to go for with the movie. And the movie's not going to be a huge production in terms of the investment. Like, we have potential people that may want to partner with us and fund it, but if not, I'll self-fund the movie. And then we'll get the movie out there, and we'll start filming. Is the goal is next year, April or May.
Yeah. You know what? It's every time I talk to you about your movie and your play, I can see you fulfilled. You light up.
I love it.
You light up.
I love it.
So, what do you see yourself in the next 5 years with this movie and in the theater and all that kind of stuff?
So we're starting a production company, right?
I knew it.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing.
I knew it.
Yeah, and so with the production company, we're going to be able to help brands, put it just that simply, and we're going to create partnerships with celebrity brands, actors. And we're going to be able to help them in a way that they're not able to, help themselves right now. And it's not like a knock or anything against what celebrities do. I think they're amazing, but I think the world needs to hear their real story, their real message, and I want to see a contribution beyond the screen that we can help them actually make. So we're developing that right now, and my brand is like the test case for it, of Good Enough. So once that comes out, it's proof in the pudding, but any of the actors...
So you proved the concept already.
Exactly.
You proved the concept, all you have to do is plug in and play and get them going.
That's right, and I've already proven the concept on my other brands. Yes. So all this is like, if you think of a movie as a digital product, I mean, it's very similar, right? So that's all we're doing. And so we're gonna work with other celebrities. So my vision in the future is like, I'll be in entertainment, I'll be acting in films that come across my desk, right? Films that I also write, because I co-wrote this one. And so with that, I'll be developing projects, but also developing the ecosystem to help the entertainment industry, because I have a really, really awesome vision for it, for what we want to do with the celebrities.
I love the way you're doing it. You're kind of paving the path for yourself. And once you pave the path and get to your destination, hey, this is the trail, guys. This is the way to go.
Yeah, and the cool thing is like, with what I'm doing now in the movie industry, like Good Enough, the brand, we have a big seminar we're doing next year with it. We have products online with it. I have a book that I'm halfway done with on Good Enough as well. And so all the principles in Good Enough is like, if you go into any new industry, it's the same principles. Like, what's your gift, Like, how do you develop relationships? So like all these people that I've met now, the directors and the studios that I'm gonna be introduced to, and the people I'm meeting with this afternoon, all these relationships I've developed from grassroots, and filling my play, doing my run with my play, we just grassrootsed it in LA. And was like, we use some Facebook marketing stuff, but most of it grassroots, spread it virally, and get the buzz going. And all of a sudden we had people bringing 20 people to the show, and this person bringing 10 people to the show. So we grew up this network, and that's how we launched.
Wow.
Still, yeah.
So for people who haven't heard from you, they don't know what you do, where can they find your courses? Where can they find you? What can they get more information about everything you do?
Yeah, you can just go to tedmcgrathbrands.com. Yeah, TEDMCGRATH brands, like BRANDS.com. So Ted McGrath brands, brands with an S, .com. You can go, that's my site. And you'll see there's a whole bunch of options on there. There's a whole bunch of free stuff we give away. We'll give away from the video presentation, you want to learn that, from the speaker training funnel if you want to learn that. Of course, you'll go into our funnel and we'll be selling you stuff, so expect that. But there's free stuff we give away initially. And it's funny because I sent my mom there the other day an article that was written on me. There was an article that was written on me about the movie from my publicist getting me these interviews. And so my mom's like, I went to your website, and she's like, now I'm getting bombarded with advertisements from you. She's like, it's really cool, So my mom gets to see what I do.
Cool,
Yeah, my mom.
But honestly, I always believe that what you're doing is changing people's lives.
Yeah.
Is giving them a voice, giving them something that they need to be successful, to do what they want to do. So there's nothing wrong with selling. If what you're selling is changing lives.
Absolutely.
I love what you're doing. You're somebody who started, and all you wanted is to be successful, and you thought money was going to be the answer.
Yeah.
Even though you made money, you weren't fulfilled. You turned to drugs.
Yeah.
You had an aha moment, kind of when you kind of OD'd. You almost literally died.
Yeah.
But you said, okay, maybe money is not the answer. Maybe power is.
Yeah.
So you went after the power. You went after the title. You got the title. You became one of the top people in the insurance business.
Yeah.
In the company. And then you're like, well, that's not good enough for you either, because you still weren't fulfilled.
Yeah.
You moved to California. You started your business.
Yeah.
And your speaking business, and now you're doing acting and doing plays, and now you're creating something that's never done before.
Yeah, so it's been amazing. Yeah.
Bro, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, man.
Hey guys, if you like today's episode, do me a huge favor. Go and leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, leave me a review, and tag a few friends that you think can benefit from what we shared today. Really appreciate it. God bless.